This computer, yes.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
So we are going live.
Sounds great. You make me laugh.
It's saying public. Go live now. It's not asking me a location.
Oh,
Share on your timeline. Nope. Share the
Nope.
group. There you go. Holistics, no. I'm gonna do pounds. Pounds to go. Here we go. All right.
Yay.
All right. So it just takes a few minutes.
Yeah. So on this side, it's telling me all of the fancy things also. That's interesting.
Okay, so we are live on Facebook according to this. Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to Pounds to Go, and I'm here with Missy Riddles, a colleague of mine. Do you hear the echo?
I do.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is put this on because it'll drown it out. Oh. Give me 1 second. Dysfunctional Andra. Uh-oh, are you there?
I'm still here.
Okay. Dysfunction. I love it. Okay. So.
Hey, it's the real world. This is what happens.
Yeah, well, it happens more in my life. Okay, so are we still live? Because I don't see.
It says on mine that we are. So.
But I don't see that page anymore.
Oh, you want me to? Let me look in the group. And we'll see. Do you hear the feedback like you were earlier?
I do, but it's saying we're having trouble reaching.
Yep, I see us. We're on there.
Okay, so all right, so let's just talk. Hi, everybody. I'm here with Missy Riddles, and I just want to welcome her. Missy is a colleague of mine, and Missy's here tonight to share on, you know what? I don't see this, Missy, like it's not showing on my side.
Oh, it's not? Because I saw it.
Okay, there it is. Okay, so this meeting is okay. There we go. I just want to see who I'm talking to, girl.
I know. That is one of the things, and I say this inside of my group too, like something about Zoom talking to Facebook, and then we can't see the comments. And so it's, I don't know. It's tricky sometimes.
It is a little cuckoo, but I'm still getting used to this. You know, tech was never my strongest suit. You know, I'm a nurse at heart. So, but everybody, this is Missy Riddles, and Missy used to be a school teacher, and now she mentors women and she helps them break through barriers in their life and just really step into their true purpose in life. You know, she was able to start a counseling business and really soar within a year, you know. So I'm going to introduce you to Missy because I talk a lot about stress and the effects that it has on your life in both my weight loss group, on the effects it has on weight loss and the effects that it has on health in this group. So I want you to hear another side of it so you realize it's not just me saying this. And here's Missy. Give her a warm welcome. Hi, Missy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I'll just kind of start with my story and what led me kind of changing. And I hope that it will also help somebody else that is in your community. But I have MS, and I have been diagnosed. I did a post the other day. I think it's been 18 years, which is just so crazy for me to think about. But I was a classroom teacher. I've had a variety of roles in education, from being a classroom teacher to administrator, just throughout my 20 years of being an educator. And so it's been 10 years, I think. My MS was getting, the symptoms of my MS were getting so severe, and I was fighting infection, like sinus infection after sinus infection, UTI type infections. And I was in and out of the doctor's office constantly. And it inflamed or exasperated my MS so much that I had to leave the classroom. It was right before the Thanksgiving holiday. So it was in the middle of the school year, and it just crushed me because as a little girl, I can remember wanting to be a teacher when I grew up. I would play school when I was little, just kind of emulating my favorite teachers and things like that. So it was always my dream to be an educator. And so I was just distraught that I had to leave a profession that I had spent my whole adulthood. But it was the stress of all things that it was so harmful for my body, and it just flared. That was the word I was looking for, flared my MS. I thought I was dying. I know, like, my neurologist doesn't think I was dying, but I felt like I was dying. I had to go for, I think it was 3 days of IV infusions for multiple hours each day. They were just really trying to boost up my systems. And I was just crushed. And my husband, he's wonderful. He's so supportive. But he looked at me, because he would go sit with me during those infusions, and he just looked at me and he said, no more stress. You're not going to be able to do things I want to have you around for a really long time. And if you can't manage the stress, then I'm going to have to help you, not make me, but just, he just was coming from a place of, I love you. I'm concerned about you. You're not taking care of yourself. So now I got to come rescue you almost. And so that was just our agreement to each other, that he would kind of keep me in check when he would, because he knows I'm an overachiever. I'm driven. I just am always searching for more and more and more. I feel like my purpose is to help as many people as I can. And I'm always trying different avenues to do that. Hence now doing coaching. But it's just, we made a promise to each other that we would not put myself in situations that stress would get me back in that chair again with those IV infusions. And so that was my turning point. And after, I think it took me about 6 months to just really feel health-wise that I was able to do things. And so I decided to go back to school and get a second master's and become a licensed professional counselor. And I've been doing that 6 years now, after finishing the program. And then I've been doing coaching for a little over 2 years now, but I'm in control of my situations. And one thing that I noticed is I wasn't taking care of myself the way I needed to. And so with all of the women, whether it's in my counseling practice or it's in my coaching practice, or even my friends, I talk about self-care a lot, because it is so important. Because when we don't focus on taking care of ourselves, then stress will overcome our bodies. And so,
Absolutely.
or it can, right? And so I feel like, we've known each other for a few months now, and I just have a connection with you, just with what each one of us do. We're both very passionate about what we do, but kind of from a health perspective as well. And it's just so important for
We
self-care.
both have autoimmune diseases.
Yes.
Mine triggered by stress as well. So yes.
Yes. Yes. And when I was first diagnosed many years ago, and I was scared because I was young, and my neurologist said, just be happy. And I'm like, what does he mean? Now I know what he means. He was talking about just like manage that stress, but it's just, I don't know. It's so important to take care of ourselves, and especially our bodies. We only have one for this lifetime. And if we don't take care of them, then they're not going to last very long. And so that's why when we were talking about what we might talk about today, I was like, you know what? Self-care is so important to me. And I want others to kind of have like a aha moment, because maybe they're not taking care of themselves like they need to. So
I think so often we always say later there'll be time, that we always put ourselves last, you know. I remember a job that I was working at, and it was my last year at that particular facility. I had lost so many people in my life, and I just kept saying later, later. You know, I missed holidays and stuff with family. And then I said, well, when exactly is later? You know,
right.
and there I was at 226 pounds, and the stress was killing me. They had passed, but inside, and to look at me, I was death. So
Right.
it makes a big difference in your life, in my life, and in so many other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that, you know, when people hear the term self-care, you know, they might think of, you know, like a manicure or pedicure or a massage or something like that. But there's so many different components to self-care. And so that's a little bit what I wanted to talk about today, because it's one that I do in my counseling practice. It's one I do in my coaching also, but it's, you know, what do we do to fill our buckets or fill our cups? And so I don't know. I have a little activity if you want to do one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I, before we do it, but in case people are watching the replay, make sure you grab maybe a journal or something so that you can do some kind of reflection. But I think of flying, and I use this analogy a lot, or this metaphor. So when you fly, and I know you flew recently, just a few months ago, right? So
Yeah.
do you remember when the flight attendants are, you know, they tell you to take out the pamphlet in this kind of in the pocket in front of you, and then they're telling you about the emergency exits and things, and they say in case of the plane going down, oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling, right? And so if you are with someone who is like a child with you or an elderly person, what do they tell you to do? Do you remember?
Honestly, I don't generally don't listen during that
You don't listen to them.
I'm already going through the maxi. I'm so sorry. But I've heard that so many times, I have to be honest. We're live. I
Oh,
got to tell the truth, right? So,
right. Of course.
but I generally don't like, I kind of watch them. I'm a multitasker, even on flights. So,
Yeah. Well, they tell you to put that oxygen mask on yourself first,
yeah, because
so
you
that you
can't,
can help the child
yes.
or you can help the elderly person, right? And so I use that a lot, because if we don't put our oxygen mask, such as self-care, on us, then we can't be moms, or we can't be spouses, or we can't do our best in our profession. We can't live life to the fullest if we're not putting the oxygen mask on ourselves. So I use that a lot for like that makes sense. So
Well,
anyway, what
they
do you
used,
think about that?
I think that makes a lot of sense. They used to tell us that with swimming. I used to be a lifeguard when I was a kid, and they used to tell you, if
Good.
you go to save someone and they're pulling you under, to kick them, and, well, not kick them, but you know what I mean,
Right.
push them away and
Yes,
move away, because two drowning people are not, going to help each other.
exactly.
So
Exactly. So at least if you can kind of push them out of the way where you can kind of get yourself
behind
together.
them or under them and help them,
Yes.
but if not,
Yes.
sink or
That's that.
swim kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. We'll have to talk about you being a lifeguard later. So I find that interesting. But anyway, so the buckets that I was talking about are filling your cup, the different categories. So this is where those that are watching, if you want to grab a journal, I want you to think about, and maybe you and I can just kind of verbally talk about them, but social. So think of social things that you do. So it could be, for me, it's really good. a good friend of mine, we went to the movies a few weeks ago. And so we went to a lunch and then we had some chit chat and then we went to a movie. And so that would be a social. Can you think of something socially that you've done recently?
That's a no.
No. Okay.
I've been spending a lot of time at work, both
Mm-hmm.
on the business and just at work. So
Okay. Okay.
I'm
So then we would note that because that would be maybe when we go through all of the buckets
strike.
or all of the categories, that would be one that you would want to give focus to so that you can fill it. But it could be something as simple as a text message, a phone call. I mean, it doesn't have to be going out and doing an event. And, during the pandemic, I mean, I know we're kind of still in it, but 2020 and 2021, it was a little harder to do those things. And that impacted people's mental health. And because they didn't have those social outings or connections, because as humans, we thrive on interactions and connections. So, but it could just be a simple phone call or a text message or even, a social media message, but just some kind of social connection.
I talk to people daily. I mean, I speak to my sister
Okay.
regularly and stuff. But the last thing I was too physically in person was a couple of weeks ago. I went to hear my niece sing. But
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So then the next one is physical. And so that could be like for me, and I'm guessing with you too, having an autoimmune, is our checkups. So at our female checkups, doctor's appointments, dentist, it could also be some kind of exercise. What things can you think of that you do for physical?
I exercise every day.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
someone who could do it 3 days a week. If I only do it, then I wouldn't get up on day 4 or day 5. So I know that
Okay.
about myself. Even if it's 20 minutes in the morning, I got to get something in. It wakes my
Mhm.
body up. So I do that. I go for all my regular checkups. I'm a good patient.
Good.
All my checkups are in order. I go to the dentist. I do all that stuff. It's
That's good. So it sounds like you put a lot of things in your physical bucket then.
hmm
Okay, good. The next one would be emotional. And so this is one when I do this activity in the different arenas, whether counseling, office, or coaching, some of the women struggle because they can't think, well, what do you mean by emotional? And it could be, I always tell them what makes my heart happy. And that's when I'm hanging out with my family. But I also think incorporating some boundaries because boundaries are so important. And I don't know about where you live. Do you have like a yard where you live? Okay. So does it have a fence around the yard?
I don't have a yard right around me, but I live right near many parks and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I have plenty of open space. I don't have a yard.
Okay. So do those parks do they have like fences around them, or are they just open?
They're open.
Okay. So I use fences as kind of a metaphor or an analogy because like at my house, we have a fence and then it has a gate so that you can either come into the backyard or out. And I try to say boundaries are like that too, because we have to have either we let people in or we don't let them in and it protects us. And so we have that gate that allows certain things. And so boundaries are healthy. And so with weight loss, especially, maybe establishing some boundaries through communication. And I'll just kind of tell on myself a little bit, but because like you said earlier, if we're not honest, why are we even doing this? Right? Like we got to just tell. But when my husband and I are doing healthier journeys, if we don't communicate that we're doing that, then the other typically will sabotage the other person. And
Okay.
so whether it's our eating out choices or things like that. And so that would be a boundary by having that communication. Can you think of another way in what you do inside of your group that would be a good boundary for your followers?
Um, I tell people no. Um, I never used to be, when I was younger, I didn't say no enough.
Mm-hmm.
I was the yes person. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that I was always tired. I was always listening, and other people would come and just dump their stuff on me. And then when I had something to say, there was nobody there. And I felt very heavy inside.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon
Mm-hmm.
as I started saying no, I felt very light. So I say no, I won't, or yes, I will is often.
Mm-hmm.
When I feel like saying yes, I say yes. But if someone asks me, can we do something this weekend? And it would really be cramping and
Mm-hmm.
I really can't, then I just say no. I
Mm-hmm.
don't sign up for anything that's really not feasible from my private time because I do have boundaries. I have a certain amount of time I can spend with my husband and my family. So, and that's usually the weekends. So I cherish that time. So I'm
Yes,
very,
that is so good. And
but
that
I'm
falls right into what we're talking about with self-care, because you are taking care of yourself by saying no, because you want to be available for them, for yourself and for them.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
it's important for me to be there and have that time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time in the weekends, I spend a lot of time working and then I have time for them. So I'm stepping back from that as well, too, where I
Mm-hmm.
try to get things that usually are done on the weekends done during the week. So I have more of that time.
That's really good. It sounds like you're very insightful into taking care of yourself.
Well, it
Have,
came from a lot of long lessons the hard way and
uh-huh.
and what it did to me and my my illnesses they also flared so
Right.
it was a long road back. So now I'm very particular. I listen to self-talk every day. I
Mm-hmm.
love Chad Helmstead, and I didn't listen to him for a while, but I'm doing him pretty regular now again.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and my friends, well, one of my friends makes me stuff about what I'm going through at that time to help like inspire me. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, things like that. I
That's good.
meditate. I never used to meditate. It's hard for
Mm-hmm.
me to sit still for more than a few seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good though. And sometimes, and I don't know, and this might go kind of in another one of our categories, but it kind of goes in this one also. But talking about meditation, I don't know about you, but like me, I go, go, go a lot. And sometimes, matter of fact, it happened last weekend. I didn't have to go, go, go. And so I was just still. And sometimes it is a struggle for people who are going, going, going to just be okay with the stillness or with the calm. And I think that that would be through meditation would be a good way to practice that. What do you think?
I think that recently worked with Edmund Began, and he's one of the calmest people. Him and his wife, I adore them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was a real reflection on how to really be okay inside of yourself and to calm
Mm-hmm.
yourself and take that time. So, which is something that I never did. I was always going, going, and him and his wife really emphasized that when you stop and find that time, that quiet time, that's when those real thoughts and insights come to you. That
Mm-hmm.
that you need as much as you work, you need to refresh. So,
Yes.
they really incorporate that into a lot of their teachings, and he's amazing. So is his wife.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think it's so important because, you know, when we're implementing self-care, it is about, yes, we're taking care of ourselves, but we're trying to grow through the experiences. And I think that just kind of what you were sharing is a way to grow, because when, and kind of what I was saying, like when we can just be okay with the stillness or in the calm, and we recognize, hey, we're okay. Because sometimes people they don't mean to, but they create more for them because maybe the lack of boundaries, like you were saying, you were a yes person all the time. And so that creates that we're going, going, going. But how freeing and rejuvenating to just be sometimes.
I,
So,
part of it too was I'm a little bit of a control freak, Missy, if we're being totally honest. So
mm-hmm,
I like to control the environment around where I am. So I
mm-hmm,
like a safety net. So
mm-hmm,
I build that around me. That's part of my protective barrier. So that's kind of why I was going, going, going. Everything had to be,
mm-hmm.
everything's in its place. But I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better now.
Yeah, but
I
I can
drive my,
relate to that. Most people like to have some sense of control, you know, but how powerful is it that we can be in control of the things that we find most fulfillment or enjoyment without obligating ourselves to all the things that maybe we don't want to be.
yeah. It's very
Yeah.
insightful. I like that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the next category. You're doing great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're already kind of filling your buckets, and you didn't realize that you were doing that. So I love that about you. But the next one is mental. And this is where we are challenging our brains. So maybe like a crossword or a book, some like a Sudoku puzzle or something like that. We're really strengthening our mental capacity. So, can you think of anything that you do for that?
I play words with friends. It's Scrabble.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. But I read on the average of 4 books a week.
Wow.
Some of them small, some of them larger. But
Mm-hmm.
I love to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always reading concepts. I like to put concepts together. I
Mm-hmm.
I don't really watch TV anymore. Every once in a while I'll watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, so I read a lot. I do puzzles. That I'm not really the crossword kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
do those circle of words and
Mm-hmm.
um I like the words with friends, trying to figure out words with the letters, Scrabble type stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a social one also.
Hmm.
Um, because we were talking about maybe your social bucket was not as full, or you could put some intention, but you are actually filling it by doing the words with friends. So that's good. I used to play that. Um, but then I found that it was taking a lot of my time.
It
It can be
takes.
addictive.
I set specific hours. I used to check my email all day. Now it's once a
Mm-hmm,
day. I only
mm-hmm,
answer calls after a certain time.
mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yeah, which I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. So that's good. Another positive of things you're doing for self-care. So I love it. Okay. The next bucket is spiritual, and that could be religious or not religious. So can you think of any? You talked about meditation earlier. And so, like I said, that would be one that could be emotional, but it really kind of falls under the spiritual category also. Can you think of anything else that you might do that's spiritual?
I have this routine that I do every morning. It's part of my exercise. Everything's together.
Mm-hmm,
It's the first hour or two that I'm
mm-hmm,
up every day. But my gratitude list is always there. If
mm-hmm.
I remember to be grateful, I feel like my day gets off to a better start when I think about all the things
Yes.
I have to be grateful for. Um,
Mm-hmm,
I'm I don't know how religious. I have a personal connection with God. I
mm-hmm,
believe that when I talk, He hears me because I get those answers. So
mm-hmm,
there's some people don't believe, and that's okay. But
mm-hmm,
I've always known He was there. I've gotten out of a lot of jams because of Him.
mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah. So
Okay.
I don't go to mass as much as I used to,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but I
Yeah.
do have that connection.
Yeah. And some could do maybe some Bible studies, or even like for me, I use the Bible app and I do a lot of my own personal Bible study with my for my spiritual bucket. Some might consider yoga a form of spiritual self-care, but it could also be physical. It just depends on the practice that you do. I'm not a yoga person, but I do know that when I do this activity with women, some will say yoga in there. Um, so there's a variety of ways to implement it. You mentioned gratitude, and I think that for me, gratitude kind of comes under the spiritual one also, but it could be in the emotional as well. So I know for me, especially if I'm having a very good thought day, when I come from a place of gratitude and I shift my mindset towards gratitude, my outcome of the day ends much better than it did when my negative thoughts were showing up. It just helps ground me when I come from a place of gratitude. So I don't know about you.
I think in the space we're in too, that there can be a lot of shifts, because we are, live on Facebook a lot. We work from there. So I think that can sometimes cause some mindset shifts. So
Yeah.
I just change my thoughts, move my muscles, change my thoughts and say better yet, this or better still.
Yeah, of course. So that is all of the buckets. And thinking back, and I don't know if you're writing or not, and you might want to do it after we're off the call. But from kind of your answers, it sounds like the social bucket might be one that you might pick one thing for the week to try to be intentional socially. Do you think any of the other buckets were maybe less than the social as we were going through each of just kind of reflecting social, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual?
I think socials probably needs the most work for me. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been kind of a loner, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I really like time alone. A lot of people don't enjoy time alone, but I
Mm-hmm.
crave that, I guess, because
Me too.
my entire life I've worked with the public for the public. So I
Mm-hmm.
like coming home, closing my doors and saying goodbye world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, I guess I could spend more time social. I know that I have a lot of those invitations that I've been putting
Mm-hmm.
on burner, but that's
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very protective of my time with my family now. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm social with them, but I need to, be social with other people too. I say my
Right.
friends come over and stuff like that, but
Right. But it could even be social, could be with your family. Maybe it's, calling a family member that is not like in your immediate, that day to day family, um, or, sending a text or um, a message on their Facebook page or something. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be a gathering, but I think, again, you're doing it with the words with friends. So I don't know. I don't want you to stop doing it. That's the whole point. So for the people who are viewing this, keep doing what you're doing inside of the buckets. We don't want them to deplete. But if you notice when you were writing down each one of the categories, wherever the one had the least amount, I want you to give focus to that bucket or that category this upcoming week, and see how you feel internally with your stress levels and things like that. The other thing, you mentioned it earlier that you already do it. You are like, if I went back to the classroom, you would be an A student. I can already tell because you're already doing all of these things. But I know you mentioned it's because you weren't doing when you were in an unhealthy place and you had to learn the hard way. But sometimes those hard lessons are the best lessons. And so that's why it's really important with me that I communicate to as many people as I can so they don't have to learn the hard way. And so I hope that the people inside of this group kind of listen to you and me about our stories so that they can kind of make some changes where they don't go down in an unhealthy way. But anyway, time. We can't make more time. There's 24 hours, 7 in a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. However, if you can schedule your time, that will make it feel or seem like there's more time. And so just like you schedule maybe going to work, or you schedule appointments for doctor's visits or client work or whatever, also schedule some self-care. And so maybe you could even take it a step further, and maybe you say, okay, I'm going to do 30 minutes of social on Monday at 8 a.m. or whatever. And then I'm going to do however long you want to allot, I guess, to each one of the buckets. I'm going to challenge myself to do that. I know that on my calendar, I go ahead and put self-care in there, but I'm going to step it up, and I'm going to do it by category and see what happens with that. That might be a little too challenging, but I'm going to try it and see what happens. But schedule self-care, because self-care is vital. And I always tell people it's not selfish. Just like I was talking about with the oxygen mask, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of everything else that you need to take care of. So schedule it in, or it won't happen, more than likely. So thoughts on scheduling it?
I think you really have to schedule it, because I think sometimes, you get busy and the day can get away from you, and
Mm-hmm.
we always put ourselves last. That's
Mm-hmm.
human nature. We
Yeah.
we we are caretakers by nature. Most of us, we want to
Mm-hmm.
take care of our family and do what we need to do for everyone else, but we are the most important persons in our life. We
Mm-hmm.
really are.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like you said, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be there for other people or
Mm-hmm.
on a level that they need us to be. When
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taking care of myself, I wasn't showing up for my family the way I
Mm-hmm.
used to. Inside, I was going through so much after the deaths, and then you know getting sick, well, not getting sick, just really ballooning out with my autoimmune, it getting
Mm-hmm.
control over my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really, I wasn't there for anybody. I withdrew,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, and when I go inside, it's an ugly place to be. It's hard to come out
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it just really, but we're worth it. We have
Yeah.
to realize, just like other people deserve our time, we deserve that too. We're worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
even though these emotional buckets and stuff like that are okay, I like to reward myself with that manicure, with that
Mm-hmm.
pedicure, with that massage,
Yes, 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 yes.
because those feel good too.
They do feel good. They do feel good. But that would be under the physical or the emotional. So it would go in a bucket. So I'm not saying don't do them. It's just that's what people think of. And it's really more to it. But I love what you said about we are worth it. And so that maybe creating an affirmation of I am worth it. And that would go in that emotional bucket too. And some of the trainings that I do and things like that, we talk about the way we talk to ourselves. And that would be filling that emotional bucket. So I am not an art person. I draw stick people, which is fine. But, maybe it's something on Canva, create something really cute that you could have as a background on your phone or your laptop, or something that maybe it says, I am worth it. Because every choice that we make it could be either a negative outcome or a positive. And so we are worth the positive. And so I don't know. I love that. I love that we are worth it.
Well,
So
we really have to feed our souls with those positive, affirmations. That
mm-hmm,
gentleman that I was talking about, Chad Helmstetter, that's how he spent most of his life, creating books and writing books. I mean, he's a
mm-hmm,
very well-known author on self-talk, the things we say when we talk to ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, I think his number one book was What to Say When You Talk to
Mhm.
Yourself. And
Mhm.
it teaches you how to retrain your brain so that you can have better positive outcomes in your
Mhm.
life. So it's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
It is cool, but it is powerful. I mean, because I have little notes to myself everywhere. I mean, just as reminders, because we do have challenging days and some days are harder than others. But again, we are worth it. And so sometimes, it takes just, I don't want to say hard work, but you just have to be intentional and you have to be focused, especially I think of in my, because I need to lose weight and in my healthier journey. Sometimes I want to go grab chocolate instead of going to grab a piece of fruit, or maybe I would rather just go sit in there excuse me, and binge watch a show instead of going and jumping on my bicycle. And so if we are intentional, the outcome is going to be healthier for us or more positive. And so reminding ourselves that we are worth the little extra effort, or maybe a little more planning, or just like I was saying about the self-care, making sure that each one of the buckets are being filled. It might be easier to say, I don't want to do the social, or I don't want to do the spiritual, but to be well-rounded in all
Get that balance.
areas will get more of a self-care experience. Yes, a well balance, I like that too.
Well,
So
you need balance.
mm,
Balance really is not just physical, but it is
mhm,
mental, emotional, and spiritual. So when
mhm.
that is what encompasses good health. If you're missing
Yes.
anything in any of those areas, your health's not at its full capacity, so
Mhm.
you really want balance in all areas of that life. And even
Right.
if you're not religious, it's whatever is spiritual,
Right.
whatever you
Right.
feel spiritual is, so but they're all important.
Yes, 100%. So anyway, so I hope that um, you found value in this, and those who are watching found value in it. It's just so important for us to take care of ourselves, like you said, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, like all of it, so that we can be better people, better versions of ourselves, and just make a positive impact with others.
Absolutely. And I get
Yeah.
to put this in my social bucket.
Yes.
Am I learning something new here? So I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to do more of these. But I really, really, really loved having you here. I'm glad that you showed up. Is there anything that you wanted to add or say to anybody? Because I know you help women that are struggling with self-esteem as well, correct?
Struggling with which part?
Well, self-esteem, like that they're
Yeah. I mean, that kind of comes with it.
okay.
So I actually have a Facebook group. It's called Burnout to Limitless. And so I help women in business or entrepreneurs. If you're not in, I have people who are not in business in the group as well. But if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed and maybe on the brink of burnout, request to join my group. Come on in. I'd love to have you. I do a lot of mindset trainings, a lot of motivational encouragement. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to be in business, but I do ask, because I know you have men and women in your groups, but it is only for women. So, but yes, that all comes to it. And so we have some beliefs that hold us back, some limiting beliefs. And I want you to be able to overcome those limiting beliefs so that you can live limitless. And so anyway, burnout to limitless. So yes, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I really think it's important that they have as many places they really can go to get the help they do.
Of
After the,
course.
the last couple of years we had,
Mhm.
we really, really need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. And I would love to come back any other time.
Hey,
We
you're
can do this
welcome.
again. This was very enjoyable, just laid back, just conversation. I love this format. It was really good.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna sign off. I'm gonna make sure that I stop the recording, because I'm gonna
Mhm.
give you a copy of this if you want to play it in your group too.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
And then we'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, honey. Have a great night. Thanks for
You
coming.
too. Thank you.